Have you ever been asked the question, what makes you different? Oftentimes, when it comes to getting on stage, this is a question that you're going to be asked. And today we're going to talk about exactly how you make sure that you are different and how you can answer that question. What's up, guys? My name is Philip Sessions, and I am your public speaking coach here to help you get on stage and get your message out there for others to learn about you and how you can help them and serve them. But today, I want to talk to you specifically about what makes you different. And the easy answer is you. Simply, you make yourself different. You are what is the difference between you and someone else. But to be more specific with that, what makes you different is a couple of things: your story, your upbringing, what you do exactly. Those are just a couple of things that actually help make you different from other people. But let's say that you do the same thing as five other people at your event. So, what are some things that can help differentiate you from the crowd? Besides your personality, which they may or may not know, they being that event coordinator, because we're trying to get through this event coordinator to get on that stage or get through that event host. You've reached out to them perhaps, and you're trying to get on that stage. So, how do you actually differentiate yourself? When it comes to event coordinators and event hosts, when they are looking for people on their stage and you have reached out to them, having a sizzle reel is going to be a huge thing, something that they will ask about. And what is a sizzle reel? A sizzle reel is essentially a highlight reel of what you have done and spoken on so they can get a feel for how you're going to be on stage, what those topics are that you'll talk about, and how you present yourself, how you look to make sure that you mesh with the audience that is going to be there. If you dress like a slob, which hopefully you don't, but if you do, you're probably not going to get in a room for a gala event, which is black tie, black suit, all of that good stuff where you're very dressed up, very professional, very elegant, and being in front of that group. You're probably not going to be in front of that group. Now, unfortunately, that may include tattoos. Now, if you can cover them up, that's a little different. There is definitely that there for you. But if you've got them all over your neck and your face and your hands, unfortunately, some people may not look at that as something that's professional, and so they may not want you for that, which is okay because we all have our own things we're going to be at. But this is an example for you to understand what this sizzle reel does for you. It helps you, them, the event coordinator and the event host, be able to understand who you are, what you look like, what you present on, and how you present so they can get that know, like, and trust for you. Second thing is social media. They're going to look at your social media. So if you have zero presence, you better start now because they're going to want to see that and see what it is that you work on, what it is that you talk about. Because if you never talk on social media, how are they going to be able to know if you're better than the other person? So make sure you're on social media. A podcast is another great addition to this. You need to make sure that you are podcasting as well. Just another social media platform to be on, but another way for them to be able to get to know, like, and trust you some more. And social media, let's go back to that real quick, includes Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, TikTok as well. But most of the time, they're going to look at things more professional. Again, depends on your industry, but LinkedIn and YouTube are probably going to be the most looked at places to see who you are and how you act through social media. But they could look at Facebook and Instagram as well. And those are going to be more of the platforms to look at, possibly Twitter. But again, they're going to see you speak. Twitter doesn't really have video on it. You can put some video on it, but most people don't go there for video. TikTok's another story. They may start looking there now as that's becoming more and more prevalent in the market. They may start looking there as well. But for the most part, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are going to be the areas that they look for. LinkedIn and YouTube kind of be a more professional there. So make sure those parts of social media you are on top of. And then that podcast, that's going to be another one where they can go look and get to know you, get a feel for who you are, what you talk about, and everything. And there's one thing that you can do that's going to differentiate yourself. Most people are on social media. A lot more and more people are getting podcasts going. They're running podcasts. They're being on podcast interviews, which, by the way, you can share some of those podcasts that you've been on where you've presented yourself well on the topic that you normally would talk about and give that to the event coordinator or event host. So I would also suggest to have that, have a landing page somewhere, one sheet, whatever you want to call it, where they can also go see, oh, okay, so Philip's been on here. He's been on all these podcasts. He's been on these stages. They can really get a feel for who you are. But the one thing that really will differentiate you from the rest of the crowd, the rest of the speakers that are trying to get on that stage, is a book. And in fact, some event coordinators like to buy your book ahead of time to read it, to get to know you, but also, there's a chance that they'll buy your book and be able to share it with your audience. And guess what? Now, not only are you speaking to your audience, but you also are letting them read about you as well. So they're building up that know, like, and trust after the event as well, not just during the event where you're on the stage, you're speaking to them, trying to build up that rapport with them, but now they have a book that you can go around and sign for them, whatever that looks like. Maybe you signed it ahead of time. Just depends on how that was all set up. But now you have this book that they're going to read afterwards. And that helps differentiate you from the other speakers and helps build that know, like, and trust, that rapport with the audience. But this episode is about specifically how do you differentiate yourself? And it is that book at the end of the day. Yes, you ultimately differentiate yourself. Yes, your social media helps differentiate yourself. Your personal branding differentiates you from other speakers that are going for that same speaking slot. But at the end of the day, that book is the number one thing that every event coordinator and event host will look for to see what will differentiate you from the rest of the speakers. So if you are not trying to put yourself in all forms of media and all facets to get your message out there, to get yourself out there, to be more well known, you are missing out. That is a great way for you to differentiate yourself, is through that book. But just to kind of go back through here to help yourself be able to get on those stages and differentiate yourself, what these event coordinators are going to look at is social media: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. They're going to be looking at these places. They're going to see if you have a podcast and listen to a few of your podcast episodes. And then if you have a book, they're going to be looking at that book as well. They want to know who you are as a person, what it is that you talk about, and what your style is, both with speaking and the way you look and present yourself. Those are important things depending on who the audience is. If you're talking to a bunch of executives, you need to look a certain way versus how you may look for in front of children or in front of maybe small business owners, or perhaps it's just professionals that are in the 9 to 5. They're not in management. Maybe they're just on that professional band. They're the worker bees, if you will. You're going to possibly look a little different for these different audiences in their mind. Again, you can present yourself however you want. You can look however you want, and you need to look the way you want to look. You don't need to conform yourself to what the audience wants you to look like, because you have to be yourself at the end of the day. A great example of this is Eric Thomas. He presents to executives and CEOs all the time, but he only wears like t-shirts. I think shorts most of the time. He does not dress up, although they pushed for him to dress up at first, but he kept being true to himself. But when you're first getting started, this is something you have to keep in mind. Either be true to yourself or decide to dress the part for the audience that you want to speak to. But at the end of the day, as long as you are worth your grain of salt, if you are worth it, people are going to reach out to you. They're going to want to work with you. It just may take a little longer. But in my personal opinion, I would rather dress the way I want to dress, be the person that I am naturally, and take a little bit longer to get to where I want to go than trying to be an imposter and impersonate what they want me to be. Because at the end of the day, to me, that's not going to get you as far anyways. It may get you further faster, but it's not going to get you farther. So play the long game. But these are the ways that you can differentiate yourself to be able to get on that stage. And like I said, the number one is having that book. That book is going to differentiate you from any other speaker. So if you've never written a book, would love to help you out there. I don't provide this service, but I can definitely give you some tips, and I can give you people to go speak to about that, as I do have friends in my network that do help people write books if you do need that help, or I can help with some free tips for you. But make sure if you have anything else that you think is something that would help out with being a differentiation in your speaking space, with helping you be different from the other speakers, make sure to put a comment below. Let me know what you think about that. And if you got anything out of this episode, make sure that you share it on social media, tag me, leave a comment, subscribe, and make sure you leave us a review, a 5-star review, so we can continue to grow this show, continue to grow this audience here, and make sure that you go and fire up the mic.